This one that I welded just looks super nice and professional and clean. The one that Rolf welded, I mean, I don't know what that guy was doing.
Love you, Rolf. Check that out.
That's gonna be perfect.
It's gonna be awesome. So we're kind of leaning more towards chain at this point, but shackle, chain, up to the Kronz iron, out on the end of the bowsprit there.
If we do the double whiskers,
Next one will be
probably
up
put
here.
another pair right here. Probably the aft end will go through the stanchion. This is 3/8 inch plate, and that's a 4-inch weld on it, and I ground it in on the inside and did root passes, and then we did passes over top of it, so it's like serious penetration. I mean, that thing, I don't know how much that could probably hold, but hell of a lot more than
it needs to do.
we'll ever need to for Whisker stays.
You're coming too. From Washington State to now sunny California. We've been at it for 5 years. It began with selling our previous boat and taking that money to buy tools and build a shed. We assembled keel pieces, poured the ballast, and raised all 16 frames in the first 6 months. There's a boat in there. Now, half a decade later, and at a slower but steady pace, we're in the water. We're Salt and Tar, and this is our life. Like, subscribe, and support if you can. Last time, Garrett traditionally caulked and paid the seams of our engine control deck box. Peeling off the tape is always a treat. Nicely done.
I like it.
While we wait for the seams to fully cure, we get back to some rigging. So what's our next thing that we're going to work on today?
We're gonna start building the little chain plates for the Whisker stays.
So what's a whisker stay? Typically a pair of cables on either side of the bowsprit, but we're adding another set higher as well.
Got to turn our woodworking shop into a metal working and welding shop. So that first starts with vacuuming up all the excessive amounts of sawdust, and then clearing the majority of the workspace, and then draping the fire resistant cloth over everything.
Are you going to do the tangs out of that bigger piece over there?
No, everything's gonna be out of this.
Okay.
What if this is like a different kind of steel though? Because the sparks are usually not this hot. Because I usually always stand with the sparks just hitting me.
Yeah.
And it never really burns. So I cut the tangs already, just rectangles. Now I'm cutting 45s off, and then that's what we'll weld onto there. Oh, that cotton shirt is so much better. My arm is like burning right here.
Yeah.
This has got to be a different type of steel or something, because I mean, I've cut plenty of steel in my time, and the sparks never bothered me before. They're never that hot, but these are hot.
Maybe it's the type of blade that you're cutting with.
No, I've cut with these blades plenty before. Every other thing, like I can sit there with short sleeve shirt and just let it hit my arm. It's not hot at all, or it's not uncomfortable really. And this is like, I mean, it burnt my shirt.
Yeah.
Another question for Rolf. Hey Rolf, what kind of steel is really hot and ouchy when you cut it?
After cutting the pieces, he shaped the tang so he could do a T-weld to the base. But then our awesome little welder started acting up.
So, there's something going on. I don't really know what the deal is, but I fired up the welder and I tacked it the way I always tack it, and it just came right up. So I reset it and I really tacked it, like really dug it in, and nothing. I have no clue. I'm gonna call Rolf.
Hello.
Hey Rolf,
Hey, what's up, buddy?
I got a question for you if you got a second.
Shoot.
I am in my little shop trying to weld up a bracket for the boat.
We exhausted all other possibilities, user error or materials, but the signs were starting to point to the machine.
Yeah, look at that. There's absolutely no penetration whatsoever.
Wow.
The bead just piled up right on top of it.
Yeah.
Either that or I'm just doing something really stupid.
Welcome back to Rolf's shop, our welding mentor extraordinaire.
Am I missing something here?
What's going on here? It went from a nice round arc. Look how cold it looks. It's like it's almost like the amperage in the
Like-
machine dropped.
Yeah. Because I noticed that a couple times. Yes, it seemed way different when I was welding yesterday for some reason. Because it would do that. It'd start to go, and the puddle would kind of
Like the flux was
grow
overtaken.
over top. Yeah, like
Yeah.
up, and then it would snuff out the arc.
That's exactly what happened to me. And you can see it here. This is running fine,
Yeah.
and then it gets really cold.
Huh.
Like it's sensing. Like you remember how you were telling me the other day how it can sense
Yeah.
the different voltages and stuff. Maybe something's going on with the machine.
When I started welding yesterday, it felt like a totally different thing.
Like a different welder.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was just me because
Yeah, it's just you. It's just you.
I'll try to email the company and see if they have any suggestions.
We finished the day out with Rolf's machine and completed the lower Whisker stay chain plates. So this is the possible upper.
So yeah, I'm thinking about doing 2 sets of Whisker stays and using doing one that'll go off the cat heads and use those like spreaders.
And then the lower one's somewhere around here. And that's what we finished making with Rolf the other day.
So this is where we decide the position of the chain plates. The lowers go through the hull, and the uppers go around the cat heads and through the bulwarks.
I just want to make sure that this wouldn't interfere for stowing the anchors on the cats.
What do you think, Swab?
Go see if I have another line in the truck that I can rig up for the bobstay.
Alright, here on the port side, that line is just kind of keeping tension since we're putting all of our testing lines, look-see lines for representation on the starboard side. And Garrett's found another line to sort of see what our bobstay will look like. Before we decide if this is the height we like or not. Because if it is, then we can go ahead and start making our 4 stays. That will run up to the main collar. So there'll be one, maybe two at the end of the bowsprit there, and then one closer to the stem. That'll be the inner forestay for our staysail.
We've got sails on our mind, and we need to lock in our measurements. For our head sails, the height of the bowsprit needs to be finalized. To get a good perspective, we have to look from every angle. The plans Rediviva was built from are now guidelines, and our personal preference determines the rest. Before we can protect, paint, and mount our main chain plates, we want to add a little something extra. An 1/8 inch strap up around the top of the chain plate for further strength. Our welder isn't 100%, but it seems to run 60-13 okay.
Ooh, nice.
So now I'm going to heat it, bend it around, and then I'll finish the welds up over top of it. So I just threw together this second pair of little chain plates for the Whisker stays in my little shop here, and so I just have to clean them up and grind them and just kind of make them a little neater. And then tomorrow, when Ruth is back helping me on the boat, I'll have her coat all 4 of these little Whisker stay chain plates, and hopefully if I finish the main mast chain plates, then she can coat those up too. That way we can mount all these and all the chain plates for the main mast, and we can get the rigging done for the main and get all the stays done for the bowsprit as well. Per Rolf's advice, we're putting a little 1/8 inch straps over top just to, you know, just to strengthen everything up. I built the whole boat overkill and overkill, so no reason to stop now. Here's my last chain plate. This is the strapping material for the strapping that I'm using. So I'll cut this down to 8 inches first, and then I've kind of come up with this system. So the first one that I did, I tacked it down and then heated it up really hot and then bent it around. But I found with the 1/8 inch steel, it's really kind of unnecessary. I found that if I just kind of clamp it down where this little bend is, if I put it on and clamp it down and then just weld the bottom, the material, the 1/8 inch material, it heats up enough that I can just basically manhandle it in position. I can just kind of grab it, bend it up, kind of beat it with a hammer a little bit and wrap it around and just use the heat from the weld. I was thinking about all the different reasons why my first welds were perfect and then the welds were just getting worse and worse and worse, and then it's like, well, duh, I'm basically superheating this super thin material and then I'm welding on a superheated piece of 1/8 inch strap, and the strap is just disintegrating way too fast. Anyway, it's just one of those things learned by doing. And I mean, that's how I've always learned. I've always learned by just, you know, reading as much as I can and then just doing it, and then trial and error, make a lot of mistakes, and you learn hopefully from every time that you make a mistake, and then you can just keep getting better and better. So that's what I've been doing, and it's been actually pretty interesting. This is the first stuff that I've done that's so thin. It's way easier to weld thick material. Rolf is going to be sitting there pulling his hair out like, I know. But I'm learning. I've got 4 of them to do. 3 of them were a lot of trial and error. And on my very last one, now I feel like I've learned enough from the previous 3 that hopefully this one should go really well. The other ones are still serving their purpose. They're just ugly. Got that bit all welded up, and then I've got it bent around, and I'll weld down until it opens back up again. Then I'll stop welding, stop somewhere in here, and then bend it again and finish welding it. Sweet. I think that one went really well.
Thanks for watching. Up next, we paint more hardware and finish sand our deck box. Then Garrett finds the placement of the emergency bilge outlets and our deck washdown spigots.
You know, one to that side, one to that side a little bit.
And cut some holes. We might even get to installing our main mast chain plates.
My shirt.
Ooh. Well, you're not really supposed to stand like right in front of it, right?
Says who?
Your shirt.
Yes, can you reach that? Jesus. The short guy's trying to get it, and here's Mr. Tall over here.
I was thinking about so fucking smoky today. Yeah. Yeah. Pardon.
Let's not get the armpit in the shot.
Why? Sexy pits.
What do you think, Swab? Hey, buddy.
What?
I'm gonna stop talking to myself